Hello and welcome to the final episode of Ignited Prep Summer Series, Meet the Industry Expert. I have to confess, we've been a hot mess this morning. Our internet has been spotty. We've had all kinds of complications, but the show must go on. And show I cannot wait for. I've been waiting all season actually for this one. So I'd like to introduce our special guest, Nick Sarillo with Nick's Pizzas and Pubs. And Nick, the Tracking Institute, did I say that correctly? I don't even have your Trust and Track Institute. I'm sorry. So Nick is pure genius in the land of development, leadership, and motivation. He's a legend. People have even said that on my LinkedIn, so you don't get to backtrack from it. But once Marie told me about you, I had to get you on our show. So, Nick, welcome. I would love for you to tell us just a little bit about yourself. Let's start that way.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, Marie. It's an honor to be here. The two of you have been doing great work and had some really amazing people here. So this is fun to do, and I'm happy to share what I've learned over the years, 26 years now being in restaurants and being an entrepreneur. So I guess that's a good place to start. Is I grew up in an entrepreneur family. My dad had a construction company, also had a restaurant for a little while too in Chicago. So I had that background, and as I finished high school and did a whole one semester of college, I went on to be a carpenter, and I really loved building houses. Did that for 11 years, ended up having a construction company with my brother. And then through that experience, I had a family of my own, 3 kids, and taking them out, I was like, wait a sec, not having a good experience. You go to a fancy place and get good food for the parents, but then the servers are like, oh, kids, and my angels. I'm thinking, well, how could that be? Or you go to a place that the kids love, like one of those pizza places with the games and gimmicks, but bad food. And so that's what gave me the idea to open my own restaurant. I had the family recipe for our pizza that's been in our family like 50 years, our Italian beef sandwich, some really good things. But to me, what was missing in the industry was a real focus on the experience for the family and the neighbors, right? So I'm not a chef, I don't know that much about, I know about food, but I'm not a fancy chef kind of guy. But I really care a lot about the experience that restaurants, full service restaurants, can create for people, for human beings. That was really my focus, and that's in 1995 I opened my first restaurant. In 2000 I doubled the size of that restaurant to 350 seats, what it is right now. And then in 2005 I opened a second one. Same floor plan, everything. Again, 350 seats, 9,300 square feet, big restaurants. They do, upwards of 5 to 6 million altogether in sales. So they're pretty busy. We have a little less than 200 team members. Getting back to that now. We used to have less than 200, and we went way down, of course, during the pandemic. Now we're up to about 150, I would say. And one of the things that continues to help us over these years is I've always been focused. Probably about a year into it, after I opened my restaurant, I really wanted to be focused on creating a great company, a great place to work. So those two things, the experience for the guests and the experience for the team, has been, I think, key to helping us get through so many, over 26 years, so many ups and downs, right? It's talking to somebody like, where's in the Olympics, where's the spot for the entrepreneurs? I feel like we're in the resiliency Olympics here, going through these things. So that's a quick download of, other than writing a book and a couple other things, that's pretty much all of it.
And Nick is being extremely modest, because I will tell you, I've been to his restaurant, and it is, first of all, he's right. The food is amazing. The atmosphere is amazing. And you can tell that the people that work there, his team, they not only enjoy working there, but they feel respected, they feel cared for, which is what you want for a restaurant, an entrepreneur, a business, is that you want the people that work there to feel cared for. And because they feel cared for, they take great care of the customers. So it's an amazing experience to go to Nick's. If you're in Illinois, if you ever go to Illinois, you have to go to Nick's. That's like a requirement. But one of the things that Nick, that sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'll go after you.
No, one of the things, Nick, that I know that Tanya's really excited about talking about, and that we were all really excited talking about, is that you guys have survived through the pandemic. And I would love to hear a little bit about how you've survived through the pandemic, because there are a lot of restaurants, as you know, just in our area, but across the country, that have not survived. So tell us a little bit about what's been your secret sauce.
Yeah, I hope it's not a secret. That's why I'm here. It really is. I think it's something, the key to that, to our success in getting through the pandemic actually isn't a whole lot different than it was getting through 9/11 downturn, getting through, the recession, which really hit us hard, big construction project in front of our restaurant, and we almost closed, all these things. I didn't realize it back in, well, first I said, like, a year into opening my restaurant, it's like, okay, how do I build a great company? And I started to read up on other entrepreneurs. I think I started with Howard Schultz reading his book, and Tom Mackey's book on Whole Foods. It's like, what other companies are doing these things to, take care of their team first, and that's where it started. And I think the big transformation, I would say even transformation, because it really was for me personally and for my organization, was in 2011 or 2001. I mean, in 2002, those 2 years where I met consultant, this guy, Rudy Mick, and he helped us define our purpose and our values. That was a game changer for me, because I'd always been searching for I know meaning in life is important, right? And so much of our awake life is at work. I was in this search, seeking, like, how do we create meaning at work? There's a meaning. I was starting to read books, Viktor Frankl's books, all kinds of, and then when I did this purpose and values work with Rudy, I was like, holy cow, this is it, and so then I started building systems and processes in our training, in our orientation, in our pre-shifts that we do in restaurant folks know this, right? You do a pre-shift before a shift, and you focus on a value and how the behaviors, because it really was about the values of behavior that really, to me, was going to create the culture that we wanted to have, right? Mm-hmm. That was key. And I didn't realize it, at that time, but all the years of doing those kinds of things really created this insurance, I think, plan for us to go through hard times. And, the other, I think, important ingredient is at all levels of the company, including the leaders, including the owners and the general managers and the managers, we all got to live the values and the purpose and all the things that we say we're going to do around creating a safe space with our communication, in our language, having some intentional communication. All those things are really important. And we got to focus on them day in and day out, from open to close, celebrating what the behaviors when we see it. That was the difference. That, to me, and since then I've built like systems and processes of like, okay, how do I scale culture? How do I repeat this for my other restaurants, my other businesses? How do I, and that's where the Trust and Track Institute came out of. It's like, because I want to share this. It's something that we could share with other organizations. So important. So that's the foundation of what helped us get through this. I can go into more detail if you like too, Marie.
I love that the foundation is really that you made the time to really understand the purpose and the mission, and you shared that with everyone that works there. and you build. It's that everyday work. I think that
Yeah.
a lot of times people forget that it's not just lip service. It's every day we have to live and be very intentional with how we work and we live and we spend our waking hours. So I love that you said that. Tanya, you had another question.
Yes. I do too, because, one of my biggest pet peeves are, and I think that it's apparent to everyone, the companies that have this big mission statement that they put on a wall and it's just words. No one lives by it. So I love what you just said, because living it is what creates culture. I have to ask, this is something that has been weighing heavily on my mind. So the other day, I was walking into a restaurant and there was a sign on the door that said, unvaccinated guests are encouraged to wear masks. And it stopped me for a minute. And I just thought about the position that business owners like yourself are in right now. I mean, there's no doubt we live in a polarized world right now, right? And you're facing the battle of perception, of safety, of customer. You're trying to keep your customers happy while keeping your employees safe and happy as well, because that's truly part of your culture. How do you walk this line? How do you navigate this? Because as I was walking in that restaurant, I thought, what a nightmare for these restaurant owners to have to try to figure out how to navigate this.
Yeah. Well, this is the conversation that I'll tell you, Tanya, exactly the conversation we have. That question comes up with our team. That's the first thing, is like, okay, we got a challenge. Let's go to the team, right? And collaborate and talk about, okay, what values apply,
Yes.
right? Open and honest communication is one of our values. We treat everybody with dignity and respect is one of our values. We provide a safe and clean environment for our guests and our team is also one of our values. So that's where the team, we share together. We're a big full service restaurant, right? The thing is monstrous, right? Both of them are huge. And most of our guests are families, so we have kids and we have parents who we want them to feel like we're doing our best for their safety, for their family safety. We want, one of our first conversations we talk about all the time, even when we're doing like special events, is how do we make mom happy, right? It's mom and dad, of course, but usually mom is the one that comes up first, right? It's like, what would make mom happy, And so that's why the other part that's important, I think, for restaurants is the health department is giving us guidance. In a restaurant, we have health department inspections, a few times a year. And, we do our own health department inspections every shift, every day, right? So of course we're going to listen to what the health department says. And that's the conversation, our team, that's it. So to me, the most important thing is I created two parts of communication. One level of communication that went out to our guests in our weekly emails, newsletters that we do to our guests, and just shared with them the guidance that we're following and how, always put in front and center our care for them, right? And then the other line of communication I continue to do, even with new changes that we're doing this weekend. What's the communication for our team? Well, we're putting you first, right? And we want all of us to put our guests first. And here's what we're going to do now, So that communication is intentional. It's proactive. Really proactive communication, I think, is also really important. Let's get out in front of it. Let's go back to, hey, this is what the state health department says. This is what the governor says. Let's just be responsible business owners, and we're going to do that. Not everybody will agree with it, but let's take the highest road we can to do the best things we can to go above and beyond what people expect of us, right? And that to me is, some of the key things that key guidance that we follow along the way.
I love that you said that. And I love that you said about the employee portion of that is we put you first so that we can put our guests first. So it really feels like a team. And that's what created from out of that is that institute that you've created that helps other businesses follow your example. So what was the like the spark for you to say, hey, I can take this and take this to other people? Because I think that's such an amazing first step.
Yeah, honestly, Maria, some of these amazing things have organically evolved. First, the things I was doing in my business, I didn't know, I mean, my grandma told me, take care of your people. And I did that, I thought every business owner did that. And then I had other businesses, we were getting like these amazing results with less than 20% turnover and, guests giving our servers and bartenders $1,000, $1,500 tips in a restaurants, that are $40 guest check average, these kind of things were happening. And I thought, well, we need to do more of this then. People are asking me about it. Why not share it? I want to share this. And it first started as the Knicks University because I was training our communication skills, how we're a coach, with our team. Love that you have the family there. We got kids in there. Say hi. Exactly what we do, right? How you doing?
Hi. Say hi, Hugo. Hi.
Yeah. Who are these crazy people on there? That's awesome. Yep. So that's really what was really important was to to share this, I think, because this is, to me, it's also my purpose of how I could have an impact on society. I think as business owners, especially in restaurants and retail, we make up Main Street America, right? It's all small, medium-sized businesses that are making Main Street America. Yeah, the news, we hear about the Amazons and the Googles and all that, but that's not what Main Street America is like. It's us, and the more we could do to create a positive work environment, and how we do that is through our values and training our people and teaching them how to be coaches and emotional intelligence skills. I started training these things so our team had nothing to do with making a pizza, right? It was, this leadership that we were doing. And then as other businesses from all over the country, actually all over the world, started taking it, I was like, okay, my restaurants are running really well. What's my next, phase in my life? And that's where I said, I'm going to go out there and have the Trust and Track Institute and teach this to other businesses. So
Thanks.
awesome.
Sorry.
No, that's all. This is.
He runs a family restaurant. He's used to it.
We have.
I laugh when people say, "Oh, are you working hard today?" It's like, no, this is not work, right? Hi.
Well, thank you. I love that answer because
Oh my goodness, that's funny.
A lot. I know this is called life. A lot of businesses don't realize that it's about the employees. It's about putting people first, and I think it's funny, and it's also a little bit sad that we all think that everyone should be doing this, and then all of a sudden we realize not everyone's doing this. And so it's amazing that you're able to now take what you've done, all the experience you have, and bring it to other people. And outside of the restaurant industry too, you've had companies that are not just in restaurants go through your institute. You've had manufacturing, a lot of different modalities. Oh, and he's leaving.
Marie, if I may, I would love to Ben, if I can, because I think that this right here is a perfect example. Nick, something that I've been watching, and I think a lot, I'm a single mom myself, and there is no doubt that this pandemic has been extremely hard on women in general, right? With childcare and all of the stress. And let's face it, the restaurant industry is a tough, I spent most of my career in the hospitality industry, started with restaurants, moved into hotels. What Marie just experienced is really the reality of the world we're living in right now, pandemic, right? And we thought we were coming out of it, and it's all back, right? So let me ask you this, and I love how when you were just talking about, you mentioned the word emotional intelligence, which yes. But I want to ask you, like, How do you handle the trauma that everyone has experienced, including your employees, coming into work each day? And, the old rules that leave your personal life at the door, which, come on, doesn't even exist anymore. How do you handle that in a culture right now that people are experiencing, being a mother and really exponential family pressures, financial pressures, and trauma, quite honestly, fear, anxiety? How do you create a safe space in your little world for them?
Yeah, Tanya, I love that you mentioned that. It's really important. We're doing our best. I'm not a psychologist, although I have a background in organizational psychology. There's a couple things. One is just share that our intention is to be supportive, right? So we actually have a specific communication tool we call intentional communication principles to create safe space for our team. So we teach our orientation. So that is a starting point. And then we make time, for our team to, talk about, have a meeting, have reflection time, to actually address these things. Ask, what does success look like for individuals, depending on where they're at, and simple things like, if you need to bring your kids to the restaurant, we can help they can help it flatten dough. You've probably seen some of those videos of us, right, where the kids are all lined up at the table banging on the dough. We can, I used to bring my kids, all three of them, when they weren't behaving the way I wanted them to. Come to work. Come on, you could help us, do something, So
Right?
yeah. So that's, we got to be creative, and figure out a way to adapt. I think that's the biggest thing. It's like we had to adapt in so many different ways. We were not, although we're a pizza place, we didn't even have delivery until less than 10 years ago in our restaurants, because we were so focused on the full service experience. And the carry out delivery business was only 15% of our revenue. So we had to pivot to 100% of carry out and delivery and curbside. We couldn't even have people come in, right? So we have a model that is similar. There's some great books about HRO companies, highly resilient organizations, called Managing the Unexpected. What we know about the Navy SEALs, nurses in emergency rooms, right? They do these high performing teams do post shift. We call it post shift. We have pre-shift and post shift, but you do these feedback loops at the end of an event. We did that day after day in the pandemic, when we were pivoting from, to curbside, because we got, lined up out, around the building, cars, and we're trying to figure out a system of how to execute and still keep all our promises of having pizzas out in 15 minutes, do all these things, right? And still manage this whole change of business. And that was a collaborative effort by having these post shifts with our team. Try today. Okay, what are we going to do today that worked? Then sharing it with the other restaurant. What'd you guys do, right? In a way, it's like opening a new restaurant. We do the same thing. Those first few days opening, you come together and say, okay, what do we do well, and what do we got to fix? What's that list? So that really helped us, I think, and that's the same way we address the challenges with the team, the single moms that are trying to get through this with their kids, and how do they, we didn't have any PPP money either.
Oh, wow.
So we had to manage this without any PPP funds.
Right. And you made it work. And I love that you're like, bring your kids to work. I think a lot of times people are so afraid to try something new. And you did. Love the feedback at the end. I think more organizations, when I worked in manufacturing, we used to do that, where at the end of the day, when we were working on a new project, we would do that feedback loop. What went well? What didn't go so well? What could we have changed? And I feel like if more companies would do that as a regular huddle at the end of the day, there'd be so much more
Yes.
innovation and progress. You know, when companies keep saying, how do we innovate? I think, Nick, you've hit the nail right on the head. That's how you innovate. You talk
Yes.
to people, you get that feedback. And I appreciate how sweet you were to my nephew who keeps running in and out of the room. So thank you.
Well, and I also, can you all hear me? Because I got kicked out, but I came back in. Okay, good. Nick, I love how, there's been a few times now in this interview where you have talked about the first thing that you did when the pandemic started was gather the troops and ask what they would need. I also love the fact that you had your values. That was the guiding post for you. These are our values. This is what we live by. And so as a team, everyone had already bought into that. And so in a way, then, and because you live it and breathe it, when I love the fact, the transparent leadership, and especially in times of crisis, fear is bred through people not knowing what's going on, right? And the fact that your first answer for everything so far has been gather the troops and let's talk to them. Let's ask them. I think that right there is a pillar in leadership, and I applaud you so much.
Tanya, you wouldn't believe I have so many stories of the great ideas that the 17-year-olds have, have come up with, and how to handle things and menu ideas and stuff like that. This younger generation, I'm inspired every day with this younger generation. I know there's some restaurateurs that don't agree with me about that, but with these systems, this is where the next generation is going in leadership. It's like, show me why I should work here. Don't just, let me feel it and see it and know that it's really happening. What are your values? Is this the kind of culture I want to be a part of? Oh, okay. Now I'll perform at a really high level for you, and we can work together. And I can't blame them. You think about the examples of leadership that this generation is watching in our society, right? Why would they have trust in the higher ups? There's a lot of reasons why they don't have to, from school to, everything, church and politics. So let's just they're demanding a higher expectation of leadership. Let's go there. And so the feedback loops is reciprocal. They give me feedback too. We go back and forth. That's totally fine. That's really an important part. I have a tool that I think is a really simple tool that anybody that listens to this could use in their organization. No matter if they have their values well defined the way we do, or they're just in the beginning of it, what we teach from the day one in orientation is, if anybody's got an issue or a problem or a great idea, right? We have bring us that issue, integrate so it goes issue, purpose, and values, solution. Instead of the old model of issue, let me go to my boss, solution, right? They come at Nick's, they come to me or one of our managers, a new employee, new team member, right? Hasn't been there long. They said, I got this problem, something's going wrong, somebody threw dough at me, whatever it is, right? Whatever that happens. So we don't give them the answer. We say, okay, you have an issue, you have a problem. Let's walk over to the wall where the values are listed. They're in many places. How do you solve that issue with that person? What values are going to integrate? That's the most effective solution. Teaching that tool to our team at every level, right? Teaches them, they're using the same tool that I make decisions with, right? So we're all making decisions. That's a real simple tool that anybody can put in place right now. So.
Yeah. And I love that tool, because you're not only teaching people how to make decisions, but you're giving them autonomy to be able to feel like I can make the decision, and that gives skin in the game. They have buy-in. And so when you have your employees with you, how many did you lose during the pandemic? Did you lose anybody? Were you able to retain your employees?
Yeah, we lost about 60% of our front of house team. Mm-hmm. A lot of them came back. We kept probably, the ones that did stay would help us with curbside, would help us with deliveries. We did a lot of that stuff. I know I have a client in the airline industry that for my trust and track business, they had a nice furlough program where you could do part unemployment, part work for the company. We didn't have that in Illinois. So it was a little more difficult. And we've gotten a lot of people especially the college students. They've all come back. The ones that have not come back, I know there's a lot of talk out there that, it's, people are sitting home because of unemployment. I have not had that experience of our team. I mean, we really we've never hired people that, want to just stay home instead of come to work, So for our team, the ones we've lost, I would say 90% of them have gone to different industries. Some are in manufacturing, some, I talked to one of our former servers. She was a server bartender. She's in logistics for an ambulance company, they've gone to different things. And, for sure that, they're coming in the restaurant and telling us, I'm working, I miss the restaurant. I miss you. I miss working at Nick's more than I miss the restaurant stuff. But, that's been the majority of the team that we've lost they've had to go, especially after the second shutdown.
Yeah. And I asked that question intentionally because I knew that your losses were not about, what everyone keeps saying about, it's because of the, the government subsidies. It hasn't been. It really has been because people have changed industries, but they still love the culture. They still love the restaurant, which really proves out the methodologies that you've put into place are successful, because people didn't leave because they didn't love Nick's. They left because they wanted to try something new and different. And I think that's really, really important to stress.
Yeah, to your point, Maria, I think one of the silver linings to this is companies, we're seeing in the news, right? Companies, including restaurants, have to do more for the team to get them to work. And I think that's great. It's a challenge for us too. We just rolled out another tier. So we have I call it a meritocracy business as a school, where everybody in our company gets their own raises based on their own certifications, right? So a lot of autonomy. Well, we added another tier to that for full-timers. We give them a bonus for if you could work full-time, we're going to give you a bump up in your hourly pay, right? And then also we added another tier for tenure, So we've even, something I've had in place that has created a lot of success for multiple years. I found ourselves just, 6 months ago saying, okay, let's improve this too, So we did. And yesterday I had one of the Latino young ladies that's been with me for 22 years just pull me aside and say, Nick, what you just did with this new rate increase is thank you so much, in her broken English, thank you so much for me and my son. This has been so good. So some of it is going to get passed on to the consumer, but some of it isn't. And we're just figuring it out together. And we're having a conversation with the team saying, hey, we're rolling this out. And at the same time, guess what? All of us have to be as productive as possible when we're clocked in because of this, and they're like, yeah, we get it. That's okay. We'll do that, So real conversations, real stuff,
Real conversations. I love that. Tanya, did you have anything you wanted to sort of add? We kind of left her out of the conversation a little bit. I don't think she hears us. Well,
yeah. I do see she added a question here.
The questions.
I just picked it up, Tanya. Yeah, about changes that I think will stay after the pandemic. Really great question. What I fully intend to support organizations with, is paying attention to the culture of the organization, because we're all bumping up wages, giving more money, but that's not going to sustain by itself, right? Money, we know all studies about human behavior. Money is only going to go so far. It's out of the top 10 list, I think it's number 8 or 9, right? Meaning at work is usually number 2 or 1 or 2, right? So I think what's going to stick is paying attention to culture, and how culture is about values and purpose, defining who we are. I think those kind of things are going to stick for sure. I don't think full service restaurants are going to go away. So some people are trying to say, oh, we're just going to, use this technology and not have, we're still human beings, right? Human beings still love relationships. It's still, and it's actually even better for us in the full service. Maybe the quick service is going to be adapting more technology, and in full service, maybe there's more QR codes for technology for menus, things like that. So there's a nice blend in there of how these things work together. But what's going to continue to be really important is hospitality and service. Customer service, guest service, I think, is going to be even more valued in our society.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that 100%. I think it's going to be much more important for us to have those human interactions, those human connections. And what you guys are doing is really, you're going to just keep growing from that. But I'd like to shift a little bit outside of the restaurant into the Institute. Tell us a little bit about the Institute. How can people work with the Institute? And, just a little bit more about what we can expect from this new chapter.
Yeah, after I wrote the book, Slice of the Pie, How to Build a Big Little Business, I started to get, a lot more questions of people asking, how do I apply these things in my business? So that's, what I've been doing over, the past 6-7 years with the Trust and Track Institute. So anybody can go to the trustandtrackinstitute.com or even through the restaurant, either way, the Nick's Pizza and Pub website, and get in touch with me. So to your point, Marie, what the leadership skills is, me and my team have helped with defining values, helping organization actually go beyond just the one-word values, create values that are tied to behaviors, right? Helping define values, helping define the purpose or the mission. I have a preference for purpose in the way we use it, because I've also taken that structure and made it something that is actually tangible. Taking the intangible and made it tangible in how we use it for, like I just said, issue, value, solution, right? A process, a decision-making process. Those are the key things that we start with. And then the leadership program that we have around that really emphasizes and I would say adds rocket fuel to your emotional intelligence. Some people, people are in a different place with their emotional intelligence. Mm-hmm. So, intentional communication is one of those tools. How to be a coach from 4 different quadrants, 4 different types, what we talk about. The feedback model that I just told you about, we actually broke that into 3 parts. We have 3 different parts of giving feedback. And then we also have that, many people have heard about Cartman's drama triangle. So how that is a map, and so that's really the core tool set that I prefer to do it at the middle level, manager level, because they're the ones who are really having an impact. Of course, we teach. The important thing is giving companies all these tools. Business is a school structure as well, right? Give them these tools so they can put this in their organization, make it their own, right? And create meaningful places to work. People enjoy being there, right? Back to that point, this generation is show me why I should work here, right? Really important. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I love that. Because you're really talking about getting the experience, learning from the experience, and then now you're giving back to everyone by giving this institute and having people be able to share and learn from all your years of experience. So as we're closing out, any final words or thoughts you'd like to share with other entrepreneurs, other people in hospitality, for them to be successful the way you've been successful and have their teams be successful?
I think, you and I have talked about this before. A lot of companies think about strategy and they address strategy through like finance and marketing. All important for sure. Patrick Lencioni talks about that too, right? It's all important, but like similar to what he does, and in his work, it's let's address strategy through the human strategy first, right? Through the culture of our organizations, involving the team. That to me is a way that we could all have a positive impact on society and creating great places to work for the Main Street of America. To me, that's important.
That's wonderful, Nick. Nick, I want to thank you for taking the time to do this with us. I'm sorry that Tanya was not as interactive as she normally is, but we have technology issues. But Nick, you've been amazing. Both of your companies are amazing companies. I highly recommend people reach out to Nick, talk to Nick. He is an amazing guy that you can talk to. He's got such great philosophies that he's put into practice. So he has real life experience that these things work. The final note is thank you for your time today. And I just big success to Nick's and to the Institute as well.
And what was your nephew's name?
Hugo.
Hugo. Say goodbye to Hugo. It was really nice meeting him online. Thank you very much, Marie. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you,
Nick. I hope if you all can hear me. I came upstairs because I could not. I'm devastated. I have looked forward to this interview the whole season, and I'm almost in tears right now. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So, unfortunately, these are the times we live in. But I plan to rewatch it so I can actually hear everything that you said.
And we'll bring Nick back for sure. Nick will
for sure. I'm happy to do it. Yep.
We have to, because I have got to have more of a conversation with you. I am fascinated by you. Marie is normally the stalker when we finish these interviews. I'm the stalker this time.
Yeah, but I actually know where his restaurant's at. I can go hang out, and Nick and I are in a group together. So I don't have to stalk Nick.
Awesome.
With that, I will say goodbye and thank you so much to everybody for the time, and especially to Nick. You've been awesome as always. We appreciate the time today. So thank you,
ladies.
All right.
Thank you, Nick.
Take care. Bye.
Take care. And we'll do our post wrap up in a moment.
Okay.